All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning. I am Lalema Aneja Dang and with me is Abhishek Mukhopadhyay. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says Atmanirbhar Uttar Pradesh Rozgar Abhiyan will provide employment opportunities to migrant workers and promote local entrepreneurship. India warns China against attempts to alter status quo along the line of actual control. Recovery rate of COVID-19 patients improves to over 58%, exceeds active cases by more than 96,000. Serological survey begins today in Delhi amid rising of corona cases. All schools in national capital to remain closed till the 31st of July. Uttar Pradesh government to form a dedicated force for industrial security, and southwest monsoon covers entire country 12 days ahead of its normal date. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that Atmanirbhar Uttar Pradesh Rozgar Abhiyan will be providing employment opportunities to migrant workers and promote local entrepreneurship. Mr. Modi yesterday inaugurated Atmanirbhar Uttar Pradesh Rozgar Abhiyan through video conferencing. Speaking on the occasion, Mr. Modi said that UP will benefit immensely from clusters of industries being created to promote such local products across the country under the Atmanirbhar Rozgar Abhiyan.
प्रधानमंत्री गरीब कल्याण रोजगार अभियान आज इसी शक्ति ने आत्मनिर्भर उत्तर प्रदेश रोजगार अभियान को प्रेरणा दी है। यानी केंद्र सरकार की योजना को योगी जी की सरकार ने गुणात्मक और संख्यात्मक दोनों ही तरीके से विस्तार दे दिया है। यूपी सरकार ने न सिर्फ इसमें अनेक नई योजनाएं जोड़ी हैं, लाभार्थियों की संख्या बढ़ाई है, बल्कि इसे आत्मनिर्भर भारत के लक्ष्य के साथ भी पूरी तरह जोड़ दिया है।
The Prime Minister expressed satisfaction in the manner in which Uttar Pradesh has turned the disaster into an opportunity, the way people were engaged during this pandemic. He said that other states will also get to learn a lot from Atmanirbhar Uttar Pradesh Rozgar Abhiyan and will be inspired by it. Mr. Modi praised the contribution of doctors, paramedics, sanitation staff, police, Ashas, Anganwadi workers, banks and post offices, transport services and workers in Uttar Pradesh. The Prime Minister lauded the government of Uttar Pradesh making efforts to bring back the migrant labour belonging to the state by facilitating hundreds of Shramik Express trains. He said that more than 30 lakh migrant labour from all over the country returned to their villages in UP in the last few weeks. The Prime Minister said that UP government acted very promptly in providing free rations to the poor and the migrant labour under the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana. This was provided for those even without ration cards. He said that in addition to this, about 5,000 crore rupees were also directly transferred to the Jan Dhan account of 75 lakh poor women of Uttar Pradesh.
India has warned China that trying to alter the status quo on the ground by resorting to force will damage the peace that existed on the border areas. In an interview to a news agency, India's ambassador to China, Vikram Misri, said the Chinese attempt to alter status quo can also have ripples and repercussions in the broader bilateral relationship. He said that actions taken by the Chinese forces on the ground have damaged considerable trust in the bilateral relationship and demanded that Beijing stop its activities in eastern Ladakh. Mr. Misri said it is entirely the responsibility of the Chinese side to take a careful view of the relations and to decide which direction the ties should move. He said maintenance of peace and tranquility on the border is essential for progress in the rest of the bilateral relationship between India and China. Indian envoy said Chinese side needs to stop creating obstruction and hindrances in the normal patrolling patterns of the Indian troops. He also rubbished China's claim of sovereignty over Galwan Valley in Ladakh as completely untenable and asserted that this kind of exaggerated claims are not going to help the situation. Bihar government has decided to provide government job to one member each from the families of the 5 martyrs who lost their lives in the standoff with the Chinese troops at Galwan Valley in Ladakh. This decision was taken in the cabinet meeting, which was chaired by the Chief Minister, Nitish Kumar.
The meeting of the high-level group of ministers, GOM, on COVID-19, chaired by Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan, will be held in New Delhi today. The GOM will be briefed about the latest status, response and management of COVID-19 in the country. The GOM is expected to be briefed on the progress made in the spheres of the tasks assigned to the 11 empowered groups. It will also be apprised about the growing medical infrastructure in the country. The group of ministers, GOM, will have in-depth deliberation on containment strategy and management aspects of COVID-19. External Affairs Minister, Civil Aviation Minister, Minister of State for Home, Minister of State for Shipping and Chemical and Fertilizers, Minister of State for Health are part of the GOM. Chief of Defence Staff is also part of it. The government has said that the recovered cases of COVID-19 have exceeded the active cases by more than 96,000. Health Ministry said the graded, preemptive and proactive steps taken by the centre along with the states and union territories for prevention, containment and management of COVID-19 are showing encouraging results. During the last 24 hours, a total of 13,940 COVID-19 patients have been cured, taking the cumulative figure to 2,85,636. The ministry said the recovery rate of COVID-19 patients has reached 58.24%. Presently, there are over 1,89,000 active cases and all are under active medical supervision. The ministry said ICMR has inducted 11 new labs in the last 24 hours. India now has 1,016 diagnostic labs dedicated to COVID-19. This includes 737 in the government sector and 279 private labs. The numbers of samples tested every day continues to steadily grow. During the past 24 hours, over 2,15,000 tests have been conducted in the labs. The total number of samples tested is over 77 lakh.
A central team led by Love Kumar Agarwal, Joint Secretary in the Union Health Ministry, has expressed satisfaction over the measures taken by Gujarat government to contain coronavirus during the Unlock 1. A committee of expert group of doctors constituted by the Chief Minister Vijay Rupani apprised the central team with the measures taken by the state government. A report.
Despite the increase in recovery rate, the number of COVID-19 cases in the state is constantly increasing. With 580 new cases reported yesterday, the total cases of COVID-19 have gone up to 30,158. The maximum 205 new cases reported from Ahmedabad city. 18 patients have lost their lives during the last 24 hours, taking the total death due to COVID-19 in the state to 1,772. Meanwhile, 532 patients have been discharged yesterday after the recovery, taking the total number of patients discharged till now to 22,038. More than 3,51,000 tests have been carried out in the state till date. Yogesh Pandya, Air News, Ahmedabad.
Ministry of Human Resources Development has said that few media platforms are wrongly reporting that Class 10 students may opt for taking exams if unsatisfied. In a tweet, HRD Ministry clarified that no further examination will be conducted for students in Class 10 and the result declared by CBSE on the basis of assessment scheme will be treated as final. The serological survey in Delhi will begin today and it will be carried out jointly by the National Centre for Disease Control NCDC and the Delhi government. Training of all the concerned survey teams was completed on Thursday. More from a correspondent.
This survey will be conducted in all the districts of Delhi to understand the proportion of population exposed to corona infection. Two age categorization have been set to conduct the survey. One is for below 18 years of age group and another for above 18 years. Depending upon the level of seroprevalence of infection, appropriate public health interventions can be planned and implemented for prevention and control of the disease. As per the Indian Council of Medical Research, periodic sero-survey are useful to guide the policy makers to conduct surveys in high-risk areas or vulnerable population who has been infected in the past and has now recovered. The survey will involve collection of blood samples from randomly selected individuals. Blood samples will be collected for detecting IgG antibodies and it would be conducted using an IgG ELISA kits. Bhupendra Singh, AIR News, Delhi.
Delhi Education Minister Manish Sisodia has said that schools in the national capital will remain closed till the 31st of July. He announced this after a meeting with the Secretary Education, Director of Education and other senior officers from the Directorate. Mr. Sisodia said suggestion was given to resume activities to give learning opportunities and emotional support to children using remote method and support of parents till the schools reopen. He said, in the light of all the suggestions, we should make a plan to reopen schools in a way that would teach the students to live with the corona and prepare them for a new role in new circumstances. A total of 3,460 new confirmed cases of coronavirus have been reported in Delhi during the last 24 hours, taking the total number of cases to 77,240. Delhi government has confirmed that over 47,000 people affected with coronavirus have been cured so far. In the last 24 hours, 2,326 people recovered and 63 deaths were reported in the national capital, taking the toll to 2,492. Participating in All India Radio Live phone-in program on COVID-19, Dr. Tanuja Nesari, Director, All India Institute of Ayurveda, said that Ayurveda can be effective in boosting immunity and people should adopt home remedies to enhance their immunity along with other precautions in the fight against COVID-19.
जो कुछ आज पूरी दुनिया पालन कर रही है, फिजिकल डिस्टेंस, हैंड हाइजीन हो, मास्क पहनना, उसके साथ साथ आप इम्यूनिटी बढ़ाने के भी उपाय करें। और इसीलिए आयुर्वेद का एक अनन्य साधारण महत्व है कि खानपान के साथ साथ घरेलू उपचार से ही हम इम्यूनिटी बढ़ा सकते हैं।
Amid controversy over missing figures of deaths due to COVID-19 in Mumbai, the Mumbai Municipal Commissioner Iqbal Singh Chahal has directed all the hospitals in the city to report deaths due to COVID-19 within 48 hours and set a deadline of June 29th for reporting earlier fatalities. Earlier this month, the BMC added 862 deaths which had not been reported to the pandemic's toll in the country's financial capital. More in this report.
After a controversy over COVID-19 death figures in the city, BMC Commissioner had directed all the hospitals on June 8 to report new deaths within 48 hours. But several hospitals were not following the directive. The city civic body commissioner held a meeting with hospital deans, medical experts and senior health department officials through video conference yesterday and warned of stringent action under the Epidemic Diseases Act 1897 if hospitals fail to comply on death reporting. Besides, he also directed all the hospitals should have at least 1 month's stock of medicines needed to treat coronavirus patients and procure medicines directly from manufacturing companies by following proper procedures. Nivedita, AIR News, Mumbai.
Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Edappadi Palaniswamy is slated to meet the medical experts team on Monday. Talking to reporters in Trichy, he said he will get their opinion to decide on the future course of the lockdown. The state witnessed 3,645 new COVID-19 cases yesterday, and the total infection has surged past the 74,000 mark. More from a correspondent.
The Chief Minister gathered the opinion of all the district collectors last Wednesday on the prevailing COVID-19 ground situation in the state. As the next step, he will listen to the medical experts team on Monday. The team analyzes the epidemiological data and the pattern of the disease spread in the state. They also look into the experiences in other parts of the country and the world before coming out with its set of recommendations. The Chief Minister has made it clear that the state decision would be within the contours of the guidelines to be issued by the centre before the 30th of this month. Jaishankar, AIR News, Chennai.
You were listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says Atmanirbhar Uttar Pradesh Rozgar Abhiyan will provide employment opportunities to migrant workers and promote local entrepreneurship. India warns China against attempts to alter status quo along the line of actual control. Recovery rate of COVID-19 patients improves to over 58%, exceeds active cases by more than 96,000. Serological survey begins today in Delhi amid rising corona cases. All schools in the national capital to remain closed till the 31st of July. Uttar Pradesh government to form a dedicated force for industrial security. And southwest monsoon covers entire country 12 days ahead of its normal date. For quick news updates around the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle @AIR News Alerts.
BJP President JP Nadda has said that Congress-led UPA government has diverted money from Prime Minister's National Relief Fund, PMNRF, to Rajiv Gandhi Foundation. In a series of tweets, Mr. Nadda said Congress needs to apologize for the unchecked loot it did for self-gains by diverting PMNRF funds to Rajiv Gandhi Foundation. The BJP president said that one family's hunger for wealth has cost the nation immensely. BJP spokesperson Sambit Patra said that people donated their hard-earned money to Prime Minister's National Relief Fund in order to help citizens in need, but a part of this public money was diverted to a family-run foundation headed by Congress President Sonia Gandhi.
ये राजीव गांधी फाउंडेशन एक परिवार का फाउंडेशन है। यह राजीव गांधी पूर्व प्रधानमंत्री जी के नाम पे ये परिवार चलाती है। उसके बोर्ड में भी सोनिया गांधी है। शी चेयर्स द फाउंडेशन। पीएम नेशनल रिलीफ फंड में भी सोनिया गांधी। और जिस प्रकार से पीएम नेशनल रिलीफ फंड का पैसा ये डाइवर्ट होके जा रहा है राजीव गांधी फाउंडेशन में, इट स्पीक्स वॉल्यूम्स कि किस प्रकार ये जो फाउंडेशन बनाई गई थी ये पैसे के आदान प्रदान के लिए, पैसे बनाने के लिए और भ्रष्टाचार का एक माध्यम था। एक शेल कंपनी की तरह ये काम कर रही थी। देश को धोखा देकर पैसा ऐंठते हैं लोगों से और उसको केवल और केवल एक परिवार के निहित स्वार्थ के लिए इस्तेमाल करते हैं।
The Uttar Pradesh government has decided to form a dedicated force for security of courts, metro rail, airports, industrial establishments, banks and other organizations in the state. Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath has directed officials to constitute the Uttar Pradesh Special Security Force for this purpose. Our correspondent has filed this report.
Highlighting the need of the dedicated force, Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath said that there is demand for a special security force for district courts, metro rail, airports, industrial institutions, banks and other financial institutions, and for this, the UP Special Security Force should be constituted which can work professionally and ensure security. This force will be given special training and will be provided with security equipment. It can be placed at important establishments including religious places also. In the first phase, 5 battalions of such force will be constituted and the Chief Minister has directed the officials to present a detailed plan in this regard. Earlier, Allahabad High Court had also directed the state government to form an exclusive force for security of court premises in December last year. Sushil Chandra Tiwari, AIR News, Lucknow.
In Chhattisgarh, efforts will be made to develop all police stations in the state as ideal police stations. The government will launch Adarsh police station scheme from July the 1st. Here's more from our correspondent.
Certain parameters have been fixed and those police stations meet the set criteria will be rewarded. These parameters include the conduct of the police station in charge and other staff with the general public. The environment of the police station should be such that victims, women and children can speak out their problems at police stations without fear. Maintenance of the records in the police station should be up to the mark. Moreover, the state government has also decided to review and withdraw petty cases registered against tribal people in Bastar region. Director General of Police has instructed officials that those tribal persons who do not have serious cases registered against them should immediately be released. Vikalp Shukla, AIR News, Raipur.
Madhya Pradesh State Migrant Labourers Commission has been constituted for the welfare of migrant labourers and protection of the interest in Madhya Pradesh. Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan said that we will make the livelihood so comfortable in the state that migration to other states for employment won't be required. The State Labour Department has also issued orders for the formation of Madhya Pradesh State Migrant Labourers Commission yesterday. A report.
The term of Madhya Pradesh State Migrant Labourers Commission will be of 2 years. The chairman of the commission should be a nominee by the state government. The state government has also determined the duties and objectives of the commission. The commission will have to submit necessary recommendations to strengthen the social and economic status of the migrant labourers of the state. This includes the effective implementation of the existing laws for welfare of migrant workers, creation of employment opportunities and skill development, protection of migrant workers and their families. Simultaneously, the Commission will be able to provide benefits to the migrant labourers and their families in the prevailing social security and welfare schemes of the state and make any other recommendations in the interests of migrant workers. Sanjeev Sharma, AIR News, Bhopal.
The Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs, CBIC, has said that a blanket exemption of late fees would be unfair towards those taxpayers who filed February, March and April GST sales returns within the extended due date of June 24th. As part of COVID-19 relief package announced in March, a conditional waiver of late fee has been provided for taxpayers. Accordingly, for entities having turnover of more than 5 crore rupees, late fee waiver on GSTR 3B returns for the tax period February-March and April 2020 was subject to the condition that the return is filed by June 24th, 2020. CBIC in a series of tweets said it had been explicitly clarified to stakeholders that the waiver of late fees was conditional upon filing the return of the said tax period by the due date. It said if a taxpayer has filed his return for February 2020 on 25th June, he would need to pay a late fee from 21st March onwards. This was prescribed to encourage people to file returns by 24th June 2020 and balance the interest with those who do not file by the said date. Agriculture Ministry has said that the progress of sowing area coverage under Kharif crops is satisfactory. The country has received a rainfall of over 155 millimeters against the normal of 128 millimeters during the 1st of June to 25th June this year. The ministry said sowing area coverage of rice is over 37 lakh hectare as compared to 32 lakh hectare during the corresponding period of last year. Pulses is over 19 lakh hectare as compared to around 12 lakh hectare during the corresponding period of last year, while the oilseeds coverage area jumps more than threefold. The ministry said in Rabi marketing season 2020-21, a total of over 403 lakh tons wheat is arrived in the Food Corporation of India, FCI, out of which 387 lakh tons is purchased.
India Meteorological Department IMD has said that southwest monsoon has covered the entire country. The normal date for monsoon to cover entire country is 8th of July. IMD said the monsoon this year covered the entire country 12 days prior to normal date. In the recent past, such early coverage of monsoon over the entire country occurred in 2013 when it covered the entire country on the 16th of June 2013. IMD said monsoon has further advanced into the remaining parts of Rajasthan, Haryana and Punjab. During the past 24 hours, there has been fairly widespread rainfall activity over West Rajasthan and adjoining Punjab and Haryana. Secretary, Department of Science and Technology, DST, Professor Ashutosh Sharma has launched the official logo to celebrate Golden Jubilee Commemoration Year. He also announced that since this is the Golden Jubilee Year of DST, many activities like special lecture series of 15-20 lectures in the form of webinars and short feature films on each autonomous institution are planned throughout the year. He urged each autonomous institution to actively participate and provide inputs to create awareness about their institute, current facilities and areas of research through these activities. Professor Ashutosh Sharma mentioned that the newly launched logo will be printed on stationery items of DST, social, digital and print documents. The Road Transport and Highways Ministry has said that the citizens with mild to medium color blindness can also obtain the driving license. The ministry has issued a notification for amendment in the Central Motor Vehicle Rules. It said the ministry has been taking many measures to enable Divyangjan citizens to avail transport-related services and especially relating to the obtaining of driving license. The ministry received representations that the color-blind citizens are not able to have driving license due to requirement of physical fitness or medical certificate. The issue was taken up with medical expert institution and advice was sought. They allowed mild to medium color-blind citizens to drive and put restrictions only on severe color-blind citizens from driving.
Now let us take a look at the weather updates for today. In the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, the minimum temperature was recorded at 26 degrees Celsius in Jammu, while maximum will be around 38 degrees Celsius. The city is likely to have mainly clear sky, becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. In Srinagar, the minimum temperature was 16 degrees Celsius, while maximum will be around 31 degrees. The city will have mainly clear sky, becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening or night. In Gilgit, the minimum temperature was recorded at 16 degrees and maximum will be around 36 degrees Celsius. There will be mainly clear sky, becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening or night. Muzaffarabad will have mainly clear sky, becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. The city witnessed a minimum temperature of 20 degrees Celsius, while maximum temperature will be around 38 degrees. Chandigarh will see mainly clear sky. The minimum temperature in the city was recorded 26 degrees Celsius, while maximum will be around 37 degrees. Dehradun will have partly cloudy sky with one or two spells of rain or thunder showers. In Hyderabad, rain or thunder showers would occur towards evening or night. The minimum temperature is recorded at 24 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 34 degrees. Bangalore experienced a minimum temperature of 20 degrees Celsius and maximum is expected at 30 degrees. Ahmedabad will have partly cloudy sky. Minimum temperature in the city was recorded at 30 degrees Celsius, while maximum will be around 38 degrees. Guwahati is likely to witness a generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. Minimum temperature in the city was recorded at 23 degrees Celsius, while maximum will be around 30 degrees.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will share his thoughts with the people in the country and abroad in the Mann Ki Baat program on All India Radio at 11 a.m. tomorrow. It will be the 66th episode of the monthly radio program. It will be broadcast on the entire network of AIR and Doordarshan and also on AIR News website www.newsonair.com and News on AIR mobile app. It will also be streamed live on the YouTube channels of AIR, DD News, PMO and Information and Broadcasting Ministry. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu today paid tributes to great nationalist and illustrious author Bankim Chandra Chatterjee on his birth anniversary today. In a tweet, Mr. Naidu said Bankim Chandra Chatterjee composed the national song Vande Mataram, which personifies India as the mother goddess and became the mantra of India's struggle for independence, inspiring countless freedom fighters.
Asserting that the world stands at a transformative moment, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar has said that a dispassionate scrutiny and reform of all multilateral entities were needed to make them purpose-built for the current times and representative of this century. Addressing a virtual ministerial meeting of Alliance for Multilateralism yesterday, Dr. Jaishankar said it is an empirical fact that every process and institution must evolve to meet the needs of its time. He said no institution, howsoever important, can remain frozen at the moment of its foundation. The minister said this is why India continues to call for reform multilateralism, one that is relevant for the age in which we live, not when this architecture was erected. He said we must set aside politics and focus on facts, whether it is the effort to dispassionately analyze the causes and drivers of the current coronavirus pandemic or to assess what changes our multilateral health mechanisms need to implement to improve preparations for a future pandemic.
United States has announced visa restrictions on officials of the Chinese Communist Party, accusing them of undermining human rights and fundamental freedom in Hong Kong. Making the announcement, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said family members of such persons may also be subject to these restrictions. The announcement comes in response to moves by China to impose new security legislation on Hong Kong. Mr. Pompeo said China's Communist Party had stepped up efforts to undermine Hong Kong's autonomy through the national security legislation and by putting pressure on local authorities to arrest pro-democracy activists and disqualify pro-democracy electoral candidates.
And now an overview of today's newspapers. India's COVID tally now 5 lakh, headlines Hindustan Times. Schools to be shut till July 31st, online classes to go on is another report in the paper. Gurgaon malls, Kolkata Metro to reopen, no commercial international flights till July 15th is an Asian Age headline. Calls for Desi Diwali by not using Chinese goods, says the Pioneer, referring to CAIT, Confederation of All India Trades Cell, to celebrate a Hindustani Diwali this year. Migrant workers are now returning to the cities, giving hope to economy as trains from UP, Bihar seen full, is the Times of India story. Russia agrees to look at advancing S-400 deliveries, the Economic Times headline. S-400 is a Triumph missile defense system. This is in the view of the LAC tension with China. And finally, the Hindu reports of a spirited 99-year-old Marceline who beat the COVID virus and recovered in 9 days.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says Atmanirbhar Uttar Pradesh Rozgar Abhiyan will provide employment opportunities to migrant workers and promote local entrepreneurship. India warns China against attempts to alter status quo along the line of actual control. Recovery rate of COVID-19 patients improves to over 58%, exceeds active cases by more than 96,000. Serological survey begins today in Delhi amid rising of corona cases. All schools in the national capital to remain closed till the 31st of July. Uttar Pradesh government to form a dedicated force for industrial security. And southwest monsoon covers entire country 12 days ahead of its normal date. Well, for details of these stories and more, you may log on to our website www.newsonair.com and News on AIR app. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a great day.